What's up? What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Get my screen up here. So the first thing that I'm kind of watching here this morning is that kind of morning momentum setup. If we can hold, especially in the first few minutes here, above these 67 70s to 75s, we're kind of filling in that low volume node from yesterday where those sellers were aggressive here. And I'm kind of interested if we held that sharp aggressive dip here yesterday, and now we're kind of grinding up, making higher lows. If buyers are aggressive here and I see any kind of little pullback, hold this 70 to 75 area, I'll be interested in possibly taking that. Let me share snip here. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me and see my screens, by the way. Never know if I'm going to have an issue on Discord or anything. I love seeing everybody's pre-market game plans, so keep up the good work there. Audio, video check. Yeah. Cool. All right, so this is kind of the first thing that I'm watching here this morning. You know, if we go green, I like green better vibes. All right, if we get that kind of momentum set up, we're kind of filling in the pre-market here, the volume that was, in this low volume node on that aggressive drop yesterday. So if that occurs and we fail to reject, basically what that's telling me is sellers are getting weaker, and we might see kind of an explosion of momentum from buyers to kind of overtake that zone. And I would probably just target these like 85s to 6800s. 85, 90, 6800. Makes sense to everybody? That's like the first setup that I'm watching. Now, it will be equally telling if we do get a little surge there and it gets, absorbed and we drop and fail. So I think in the near term here this morning, this SIPs, like, that was the worst drawing ever. In the near term this morning, I think this 70 to 75-ish area is kind of pivotal. Everybody clear on that? Let me put this in the chat here, the live market commentary. I know somebody just joined. Welcome in. Welcome in, Reichs. All right, so everybody cool with that thought process there? Now, the other thing, which I should also mention, if we just kind of continue chopping here and I just don't see much momentum, we'll see in the speed of the tape here after the 9:30 bell. We'll really see in the speed of the tape here. But if it just kind of like surges up, surges down with like kind of larger orders and just doesn't really go anywhere, then I'm going to not be involved in chop. I'm not going to be involved in chop because we are kind of in this middle range area. So if it's looking choppy, I'm not about it. $15-minute. Yeah, that looks valid, Dan. So the problem with your green zone there that I'm just observing, not a problem. It's right in the middle here. And we kind of already made a dip down to the major low of kind of the balance range on the higher time frame, like multi-day. We're talking like 4 or 5 trading days now in this range. And we hit that, and there was just massive volume there. Like yesterday, this whole area here, just massive volume there. And so the fact that we already held that, honestly, what I'm thinking now is observing that with them both moving the opposite way until they both get moving in a direction. I don't, a directional play is not ideal, but it seems like NQ is more strong than ES is weak. So if we get down here to the bottom of this channel, I think it's more likely for ES to bounce. I could be wrong, but I think it's more likely for ES to bounce than for NQ to tank here. I think it's more likely. More likely this turns into a stop hunt fake out dip on ES and then flips around and follows NQ up versus the other way around, but I could be wrong. Just because ES is not really even taking out like this. Here, let me do a screenshot to explain. ES is not really even taking out these lower highs, and we're getting like a little dip here, and we had all of this high volume consolidation here, so it's just kind of like faking out dip into this area of new demand that formed. And to me, that's like, why does it do that? That's more likely to be a fake out, seeing how strong NQ is above. So in the intraday commentary there, what I'm saying is like ES kind of seems to be making a bit of a fake out dip, and it's not even really taking out, this higher low trend line, whereas NQ is kind of holding above the overnight highs and still kind of staying right at the highs. So to me, it seems like NQ is strong enough that it's going to pull ES up, and ES is not weak enough that it's going to break these lows. I like that surge in buying here. We'll see if kind of a pullback holds. And this is a fake out dip here. There is kind of a healthy amount of buying here. But if ES can't turn it around and NQ goes all the way up into that low volume node and fails, then they certainly both could dump. If buyers don't come in on ES soon, because NQ is going far enough that it could start, to take a breath and pull back. And if that takes a breath and pulls back, then ES could make a deeper dip. Yeah, a lot of selling just pounding in on ES still. Had that nice little pop there, but it just did not go anywhere. So since the open, we've had like a 10 or so-ish point drop now. Opened right around that 75 key level, now down to 65-ish. So remember, I really said for that momentum play in the morning, I wanted to see, same thing I said for that swing trade yesterday, is I wanted to see buyers be strong above these 70s to 75s. Yeah, sometimes it's just better to stay in cash. We had all this surge of buying here right into that 70, 75 level, and it got sold into. But if both the indices are moving completely opposed to each other here in the first few minutes, then that's definitely setting up for a choppy morning, right? The best like directional plays happen when, multiple things are moving in the same direction. So if they're not, we did just touch that trend line now, and there's kind of a surge of buying again off that 64 area, which is that 4-hour trend line I've been talking about. I still stand by the position that NQ looks stronger than ES looks weak. But I'd rather see, instead of like trying to catch a bottom here, I'd rather really see buyers come in with some strength and prove themselves, and then find like a little weak pullback to long. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. I was just saying it just as a general observation, like even in our group flipping futures here, even in just all the trading space that I see online on social media, here's some buying. Let's see if we can break these prior highs here and then pull back into it. So if we can pop up here and then get a weak pullback and fail, then I'll be probably interested in trying that long, because I maintain the position that I think NQ is more strong than ES is weak, and I think maybe I shouldn't think. I should just not think. But I am guessing, or not guessing. It's not the right word. I am speculating that ES will be the one to bounce, and they'll both rip up into that supply area. All right, so there's the nice bit of good buying. So we have kind of confirmed this now. Let me extend this over. Let's see if we get any kind of a weak little pullback to get a part of it now. And it's going to be just annoying. So annoying if it just shoots up without any pullback. Let's see if we can. Come on now. See if we can get a little pullback now around 70 to 68, maybe. Man, come on. See if we can get a little pullback to get in on it. I had a feeling I had a feeling once it did it, it was just going to shoot. And that's why I was looking for that morning momentum setup. Let's see if we can get a little pullback. Man. So the fact that we're back in this zone here, 75, is telling to me. We could not really reject that 75 to 70 area. So if we can just get a little pullback here that holds, I'll be interested in taking it long. But I hate just chasing it without a little pullback to get in on. And it's just a very unfortunate situation if it just absolutely squeezes straight up. I mean, look at that. Like from that dip there, it just continued to just squeeze straight up, and not any little, not even a tick of a pullback to get in on it. Oh, man. What I was wanting to see here was just a little bit of strength above this high and then a little pullback. This one happened before we really saw the strength up here, and then it just kept going and going and going and going. So now it's like, 10 points of risk if I chase it up here under this low. You know what I'm saying? If I buy here for this break, this momentum, where am I putting my stop loss? All right, come on. Pull back a little bit into that 70-ish area. I'm kind of watching this area right here, right around VWAP. To see if this holds Kind of want to see some bids step in, something. Selling is kind of getting weaker. All right. Taking that long here at 71. Probably just have a stop here under like 69-ish. I like the bids appearing here. Don't dump on me. And we'll see if we can go take out the 80s, 85s. There we go. Probably not going to hold much of a loss on this now. Like I kind of want to see this pretty much surge. Want to see this bull flag and surge. Otherwise, probably cut and look to re-enter if it dips further. NQ is just saying pretty high. Bid appearing here again. I hate that it's just hugging VWAP here and not really getting a lot of continuation momentum. Would really like to see this bounce a little harder. I don't want to see buying fizzle out so much. You know, it's 9:53. We should have some good volume coming in here. Exactly, Joe. Who's going to win, the sponge or the faucet? That's the question. It's crazy how much stronger NQ is than ES. I mean, wow. NQ has not made a single lower high on a 2-minute chart. It's just steaming. And ES is just effing around. I started doing my analysis on NQ a little bit more this morning, just because I've been liking how it's had a bit more volatility, and ES has been, it's going into one of those times that I've talked about in the past. You guys have heard me say I'll look to trade NQ a little bit more if ES just stays really choppy. So I'm probably going to go break even with my risk here, by the way. I really want to see this go now. I've given it like 2 chances to kind of mess around at my entry. So so I'm starting with just watching NQ more closely right now, doing more analysis on NQ. And I may kind of gradually start opening up more positions on NQ for especially like momentum type setups, because I've just been seeing it play a lot more on on NQ lately, and ES just grinding a lot more. Still in here, but honestly, guys, I'm gonna probably move my stop loss to break even at 71s now. If ES can't go take out even these highs, I mean NQ is still ripping new highs, new highs, new highs, and ES is like fizzling, can't even get over these highs here. So I'll probably stop break even now at 71, and if it dips a couple points lower, I'll possibly look to re-enter. This was the same thing in the reverse size. Do you guys remember a couple weeks ago when I took that big short on ES and we were watching the setup just work so well, NQ just dropping, and ES took for freaking ever before it finally did make the drop, and I did make a lot on it. It was great, but it like would have been such an easier, quicker trade on NQ, and it just messed around for hours and hours on ES before the drop finally came. Do you guys remember that a couple weeks ago? I'm still in this. I'm not touching it. 71, but risk is break even now. I'm not playing these games with ES. Me and ES are on the rocks right now. We're having kind of a rocky relationship because it's just chopping so much. It's just taken longer. You guys have heard me say all morning, like since the opening bell practically, that I thought NQ was stronger than ES was weak. So I thought ES would make the bounce. And it is. It's just doing it in a really annoyingly slow way. That's making it hard to be a part of. We got to break out over these 75s. We got to squeeze these 75s now. We've got to break out and squeeze out these 75s. If we do that, then, I mean, for goodness sake, NQ has already almost retraced the full move yesterday. It's almost back up into that supply that started the day. Look at this, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at a 15-minute chart here. ES is still in this flipping channel from the pre-market and overnight. And NQ on the 15-minute chart as well has almost fully retraced the move up in that was our target, really was up into that supply area. So it's already freaking fully rallied up there into the target, and ES is just still grinding in this channel, man. That's kind of why I'm moving my risk to break even, Joe, because NQ has rallied all the way up into our target now. And if NQ pulls off, which would be reasonable given how much it's steamed up. Oh, wow, there we go. Can we do something now? I feel like that GIF right now where it's like the stick figure just poking something. Come on, do something. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yes. This is what I feel like I'm doing with ES right now. I'm watching NQ have all the fun, and I'm sitting here in this ES position like, come on, do the thing. This is the buying I wanted to see. Now we're doing it. I'm still in, guys. I am still in. I am like, now I'm like angry long. I want to see this thing rip now. Now I'm like, not, yeah, you want to mess around with me? Not only am I long, I'm holding this thing. Let's go. There we go. There we go. I'm going to take half off here in just a moment. That is the short squeeze we were after. I'm looking at this offer up here at the 85s. There we freaking go, guys. Anybody else catch it? I'm going to scale out half here when this slows down. Hopefully we can just ping these 85s here. Finally. Good grief. I like this move. I mean, I think the chances of us coming back to 71s now with seeing this much buying come in is kind of low. So I'm holding. But NQ is tagging that supply zone. So I will scale out here in just a moment. There's a ton of buying coming in on ES. Is this just a pure technical short squeeze, or did we have some kind of news come out? You check first squawk. All right, I'm going to take half off here at this stall at 82.50 and just my risk to break even. Well, my risk is still break even on at 71s. I don't know. Do you guys think we could go 90s to 6,800 again? Exactly at 10 a.m., huh? I'm looking at this offer sitting here at 85s, kind of thick. I don't know, guys. Do you think this has got the juice for 90s to 6,800? What do you guys think? I mean, that looks like some juice, man. I think I'm just putting myself in the other side. If I was looking to short, looking at this chart, right? Do you think I'd step in front of this to go short? I probably would not be stepping in front of this to go short. I don't care what happened yesterday in the selling that occurred. Looking at this rocket ship with all this buying, I don't think I'd be looking at that to go short. So if I'm looking at this and I'm sitting in a long, I'm feeling a little itchy because I'm in profit. But when I'm looking at this and I'm like, there is no way in hell I'd take this short right now. So Why would I take off my long? I guess the only thing that I'm looking at is how NQ is testing supply now. Ray, yes, if the conditions were more trending, but the fact that let's keep in mind the bigger picture here. We're retracing the middle of the balance range. So would I buy the dip on a pullback in the middle of a balance range? Probably not. So would I pyramid my position? Probably not. No. If we were trending and say I got a good breakout trade and then we pulled back and like held the breakout level, then yeah, I would probably pyramid my position. Or down here, if I had gotten an initial position here around 68, 69, we broke out and pulled back, then I may have added to my position around the 70s. But I don't think I'd pyramid the position here, just given that we're retracing through a balance range, right? I'm being a little belligerent here holding it because of how much buying came in, but just because I'm in profit and I've already scaled out, right? But would I initiate a position up here? No. But other retail chasers might, and they might keep driving this thing up into the 6790s to 6800, and I'll sell to them to close my position. Sell to close, not to go short. Yeah, we're just basically we're steaming through the middle of this consolidation range the same way we dropped through it yesterday. So we're just going we went top to bottom. Now we're going bottom to top. And again, I've already scaled out, so. Anybody else watch that and catch that? Look at that. Here we go. Let's go 90s. Let's go. Yeah, I'm up 16, 17 points from my entry now. So I'm watching this to go all out here. If we can sweep into the 90s, depending on how fast we shoot up here, possibly hit these 90s. About, yeah, 90 to 92. If we can sweep up into there, as soon as it slows down, I'll probably take this off. Some selling, making an attempt here, but we'll see if we squeeze through them or not. Again, I'm just looking at a chart, right? It's like a green laser beam here. Would you go short here? Would anybody take this short here on this green laser beam? So I'm continuing to cautiously hold, but we're coming into those 90s. So if we get a nice sweep up into here, I'm going to look to go out, depending on when it slows down, how much it slows down. NQ's kind of in the middle of its supply zone now. Those calls that I swung yesterday would have paid now, wouldn't they? On 0 DTE, they'd be 0 DTE. I don't even want to do the math. I closed that position yesterday. It was the right call. I just didn't have the timing and the patience on it. But can you guys imagine how much those would be up right now? I don't even want to think about it. They'd be up like $1 bajillion right now. But I'm glad I caught it with this trade, right? All right, here's 90. All right, I'm all out. 89, 75. I don't like that large selling come in. It's like at one of these points, we might see a big drop down when we see this large selling. And 90 was kind of the number that I had in mind for my second target here. And if we just laser beamed straight up through it, then I was going to hold. But we hit it, and look at this large sell bubble that hit. I just went all out there for almost 20 points, like 19 and change points, right? Can I get a hell yeah in the chat? Ray caught 19 points, his largest ES win ever. Damn, Daniel. That was a nice one. That was a nice one. Real time with you guys. I feel like a lot of times it's been boring in the mornings lately, and then I catch a trade off stream in the afternoon or something. That was fun, right? So here we go. Entries from the 71s there. I wish I put 4 contracts on. And exits here for you guys. 80. I market exited. I didn't have a limit on. I market exited, so my fill is a couple ticks off. I got filled at 82.50, and then I got filled at 89.50. Get this on the recording for everybody that caught it. Nice. All right, put a W if you caught it. This is not a signal chat. If you're new here, by the way, we're just having fun, right? Everybody takes their own trades. We're just sharing analysis. I don't do this for signals. Oh, sorry, Adam. Adam, better. That's okay. Honestly, if you guys heard my voice there, I was getting kind of shaky with my confidence because I was like, the setup looks good. Like it should be going. NQ is ripping. And ES was just taking so long to do it, but I stuck with it. It was the same thing as what happened on those shorts we took a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'll do a trade recap and break down exactly what it was. If you've been paying attention in here, we've been talking about the 70 to 75 area for like a week now, I think, or maybe even more. Haven't we? So on that dip, basically what I think I was talking through this in real time. We dipped down to like 65. And basically my thought process there was, okay, NQ is ripping. It's way stronger than ES is weak. I'm thinking this drop down to 65s is just a stop hunt. And if we recapture back in that 70 to 75 area, we're gonna rip, right? So when we recaptured back in that 70 to 75 zone, I told you guys in real time, I was like, if we can get, I thought I might have missed it. Honestly, I was like, if we can get any kind of a dip, right? I drew the box. You guys know the freaking box, right? Look at that. You guys saw, I drew this box over here, right? Like 15 minutes before we got it. Remember that? Look at that. Does it get any more precise than that? And as soon as I saw us drop down here, I saw these bids starting to appear. You see it right there? See how that, look at that little guy. Look at that little guy right there. You see how he dropped down there and then this bid just appeared and got and absorbed all these sellers right here? Joe talking about the sponge and the faucet. See how he was sneaky with it? He was sneaky. He wasn't just leaving that on here. And it appeared over here too. And then we dropped down there and he said, oh, buy that. And we dipped down a little bit more. Selling was weak. And then he kind of popped up again. Oop, scooped that up. He was being sneaky here, trying to fill this bid on that drop. And that's where I got long with it at 71. So I think I got long with it somewhere around like here, right at 71. And then it came back on me like once or twice here, just a little bit. And that bid kept getting, so even though I really wanted to kind of cut this thing because it was being slow, I kept seeing this bid. And so that's why I kind of just stuck to it. Have a good afternoon, Steve. See you, man. Thanks for joining in. All right. We haven't done this in a while. Everybody clap for Ray. He caught his biggest trade ever. Again, we don't focus on outcome. We focus on the process. But when the process leads to a nice outcome, it's fun. Can we all agree it's fun to catch a green laser beam before it develops? But looking at a candle chart, I struggle to see, like, imagine we don't know this side of the chart, right? I guess yeah, in this case we kind of waited for the retest. So you could have seen all this buying here and these prior highs. So that actually was some nice structure. But I don't know how I would have had the confidence to go long here at 71 with that tight of a stop without seeing it on the order flow personally. Maybe I would have longed this dip and I would have had a stop loss maybe down here under like the 65s or something. I don't know that I would have been able to be that precise without seeing it very specifically on the order flow. Yep, touch grass. Honestly, that was as far as points, that was like the biggest win I've had this month. 20, almost 20 points. I've been struggling to catch big moves. So that was nice. That was a much needed W. So awesome. All right, guys. Any questions on the setup? I'll do a write-up for the trade recap with the confirmations and things like that we saw. Great trade. Great exit, actually. I mean, seeing, we could have been greedy to go all the way for the 6,800s, and it still might happen, right? We might get a little relief pullback, and it still might go up there. But I'm cool with taking the 20 points to the bank here. We came all the way to that 67.90 target, and we started to see those larger sell orders hit. That's another great thing about order flow there. Like, I mean, how precise to take that exit. How precise to take that exit there. No hindsight analysis, real time. In the grand scheme of things, what we did here is we caught a nice bit of momentum to go to basically the low end of the balance range to the high end of the balance range. Right? In the grand scheme of things, not the complete low, like the complete low is maybe that like 55 to 45 area, but we can see that already consolidated and bounced a lot yesterday. Like we already consolidated there a lot. So kind of my thinking this morning when I shared that setup with you guys when we got on here was we already dipped into this like major low of the balance range and we're working our way up, right? If we can get some momentum coming in, there's a good chance we can go back up into like the upper third of the balance range, right? The extreme end of the top of that balance range is like 6,800. If we were in the middle of this range here, without the context of how we hit the low of it yesterday, it would have been a completely different scenario. I would have not taken this trade. But the context being like we already hit the low of that balance range yesterday and we're kind of working our way back up. If we can get some momentum, there's a good chance we're going to just shoot back up to the upper, third, upper 25% of that balance range. And that's exactly what we got today. Does it continue up? Maybe. Maybe did we go break out 6,800 new all-time highs today? Maybe. I don't know. But we caught our piece and we caught our setup. Not going to try to predict what's going to happen the whole day. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap up the stream there. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll keep you updated. And I have some other things to work on, videos with you guys and everything. So I'll work on that. I need to make a video going over the volume profile for Tradevate. I know a lot of people want that. I shared the setup file in here, but I'll share that on YouTube, the Tradevate setup for the volume profiles. You guys see I do a lot of analysis with these 30-minute charts with the volume profile, like on there. And I have it on Tradevate and Sierra chart, but Tradevate's way easier, so that's what I recommend for people. So I'll work on that. I'll share any updates that I see with the analysis, but honestly, this is a one and done for me. One and done for me. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining in.